Welcome to Bloody Good Horror, covering the best and worst of the horror genre since Halloween 2007. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello everybody and welcome to the final episode of Bloody Good Horror before we go back to spooky school. My name's Eric. I am the host for this evening. We are here to review Happy Death Day. John, that Blumhouse guy, just ripping shit up again. We'll talk about that here in a moment. But first up, joining me in the show, coming to you from New York City. That's the capital of the world as far as he's concerned. Lives in that Manhattan place. His name is John Schnars.
Hey guys.
I should also mention, John, that you are the business manager at bloodygoodhorror.com.
I try to manage the business-related elements of Bloody Good Horror, which actually are not that many, so it's easy.
It seems like a lot to me. It's overwhelming to me. So
right now, we're at a high point.
Yeah. Yes, we are at a high water mark for businessing at Bloody Good Horror, for sure. Next up here on the show, joining me from Indiana, his name is Casey.
Hello.
And last up here tonight, she is the high priestess of books at bloodygoodhorror.com. And I learned from her Instagram I'm like reasonably sure she's in a coven.
Oh, yes. My girlfriends will be very happy that that's what you called them.
Please welcome Cece to the show.
What's up?
I believe it's Coven.
Yeah. No, Coven's like oven, man. We like literally Cece posted an Instagram and it was like her with a bunch of her friends carving pumpkins and they all had knives and they looked so evil.
We looked like very respectable ladies.
That was
excuse me.
That picture was like Mike Pence's worst nightmare. Just like empowered ladies with knives.
Yeah, it was a good time.
And
there were lots of sharp knives.
Love it. John Schnars.
Yeah, John, did you not get the memo tonight? It's navy blue shirt night. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, guys, you got to get me like, a couple minute warning, I'd say.
Don't forget, Schnars, I want to, when we start talking about Happy Death Day, I would like us to talk about how you made me listen to Bill Simmons' podcast.
Yes.
So don't let me forget about that. But before we do that, let's talk about Spooky School.
Oh, God. It is upon us, Eric.
It is.
Where do you want to start? It's this weekend. It is, by the time people are listening to this, it may have already happened.
How about this?
Let's,
how about this? At 9:20 Friday morning, I will be on a plane headed to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a place I've never been.
I've been twice. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on the show. I've been to 2 weddings in Milwaukee, and they were both fantastic.
I'm not going to lie. I had a weird moment today where I started thinking about Wisconsin, and I was like, oh, isn't that where Scott Walker's the governor?
I don't think he is anymore, is he? I don't know. He could be.
I'm going to look it up. Go ahead, John.
That's the kind of thing the internet could definitely let us know about.
He is the
not been.
He is the current and 45th governor of Wisconsin.
It's also where what's his name? The guy from the House of Representatives is from.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Mark Borchardt is from there. He's from American Movie.
Yeah, Coven.
Yeah,
Coven.
Previously referenced. Yep.
So yeah, we the whole BGH crew, right, and like almost all of our writers, and some other characters.
We've invited +1, so all the BGH staff was invited with a +1.
My wife said no thanks.
Yeah, no, my wife and children are similarly not. In fact, Casey, you are the only sort of OG cast member bringing a significant.
I know.
So.
I know, but she's fun.
Good luck.
So that's okay. And to be fair, to be clear, Eric's wife didn't just say no thanks. She said, I would rather run a marathon.
She is actually.
She does like running though, so it's not really like a thing.
On Saturday morning, she will be running a marathon.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize she was actually running one.
Yes.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's happening, guys. So I think there's going to be 19 sort of quote unquote staff and friends and family coming.
I will know none of their names except I know Cece.
I mean, the
And
only
you know
time
Kyle's name.
Like I know names from Slack, but I don't know like names with faces.
if
Yeah.
Kyle is wearing a
Sophie.
wife beater, I will recognize it. That's like
Oh, I assure you, he will not be wearing a wife beater, so you may not recognize him. Because if he's wearing a wife beater, he will go home with Joe.
oh,
Like he can go.
that might work out best for everybody, actually, depending on how long we're out,
Yeah, that's
true. So we're really excited. I mean, frankly, I think we're really excited to like meet some of our quote unquote staff. Our voluntary
They're
staff.
staff. I wouldn't call them quote unquote staff. Come on.
Well, no, it's more that like, they're doing it for the giggles and for out of the kindness of their hearts. They're unpaid, that's for sure. The volunteer staff. So we're really excited to meet a lot of people that we've never met in person. So that's step one. And then we've got a whole slew of patrons and sort of friends of the show who have reached out to let us know they're going to be there. And that's also exciting.
Yeah.
So, and then there's probably going to be a bunch of random people from Milwaukee there, hopefully. And that's going to be cool too, because it's actually coming together. Like I would say, so Andy and Joe have been doing like a ton of the legwork. I've, as Eric mentioned, been handling some of the businessy stuff. We got event insurance last week. So
wow, that sounds so real.
Well, we had to. That was like a precondition. Like it's like in the quote unquote contract. I mean, it's a legal document that we signed saying we would get insurance.
Did you run this through the Bloody Good Horror lawyer?
Yes. No, we don't. We actually don't have a lawyer.
No, we do. He writes in every once in a while when Joe says something wildly irresponsible.
Oh no. Well, if anyone would like to read the contract that we've already signed and let us know we're in for any shenanigans.
Damn it, Schnars, you had one job.
Let us know.
It's only for an opportunity to point and laugh.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, so we're really excited. It's going to be good. I don't know if we've talked about it a lot, but John Shelton, sometimes referred to as Professor Shelton, has concocted what I would describe as a very difficult but also very fun trivia experience. So that's going to be kind of the centerpiece for the pre-event. We've gone through a round now of kind of fact checking on that. And
should I be like boning up on my trivia? Like I wonder if there's some kind of like taking online horror quizzes or something.
I mean, here's what I would say: the questions are tough but fair. He has a fair number of sort of like additional hints and the way that they're written is actually very like sort of bar trivia clever, where there's like enough hints that you should probably be able to get close on most. Some of them are pretty tough. Like I was even like looking at the answer, I was like, But
what do people get if they beat me?
Well, there's a first prize and a second prize. The Great Lakes Distillery, which is hosting us and a proud sponsor of our event, is kicking in some spirits, TBD, but they've committed some spirits, and we'll be kicking in a ton of swag. I packed yesterday a full bag of BGH swag, and then the thinking is that we will have. It's looking like we'll have a handful of extra. Like we knew the way it's going to work is everyone who's at the event is going to get drink tokens. So like just by buying a ticket, you're going to get a couple free drinks out of that. And almost definitely based on the number of tokens they're telling us they're going to give us, we're going to have extras. So we'll probably give the winning team like an extra round of tokens as well.
Nice.
So yeah,
that's
so it's going to be good. Some other shout outs. We got to thank WMSE for their media support. WMSE.org is their website. They are a Milwaukee radio station. They are super down with all things spooky. They're actually going to be at the event playing some music and kind of just generally supporting us at Great Lakes. I don't know if they're going to be like broadcasting from the event or actually just like playing local music. I think it's mostly just going to be for the crowd at the event, but they're definitely going to be there. Andy will actually be on the air this Thursday being interviewed by we'll post it. It'll be on social media. You'll
That's
know
awesome.
about it. But if you're in the area or if you are around a computer, you can tune to wmse.org and hear Andy.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little jealous that Andy gets to be on the radio station.
He was the one who raised his hand and he said, "You know what? I will go up early." He's actually going to be staying at. I believe he referred to them as his in-laws. I actually think. I don't know if he's actually married, so maybe they're like common law in-laws or something.
Common in-laws, got it.
But yeah, so Andy will be up there. Yeah, so we're really excited. Joe is packing the car as we speak. We actually shipped a bunch of stuff, including our T-shirts designed by Jeff Harkins, jeffharkins.com.
Do we have any more?
Yeah.
This is a completely personal Eric question. Do we have any more of those rainbow stickers?
Yeah, they are in my.
I might wanna
They are in my go bag, Eric.
I might want to snag a few
Your
of those.
go bag.
Here you go. This is the bag
Okay.
full of just swag that I packed yesterday.
Put a couple aside
Amazing.
for E-Man.
Don't worry, brother.
Yeah,
I got
that's
you.
funny.
I got it.
I was at Rock and Shock this weekend in Worcester, Mass, and I had a couple people saying that the event sounded really cool. They were bummed out they weren't going to be able to make it, but yeah, it got me excited that there was awareness of it, so that's good. People are listening.
It's gonna
Did
be
you
fun.
pronounce that Worcester?
Nope, Worcester.
Is that right?
Worcester.
Okay.
No R's. You
I wanted to
can't
be
say-
sure.
Yeah, no. Cannot say R's. That's how it works. Pretty exciting, John. Where can people find information about this event?
You can find information at bloodygoodhorror.com. You can there is a banner right at the top that you cannot miss. So definitely click on that. It'll take you to our Eventbrite page. You can go directly to Eventbrite. You can also just search Back to Spooky School, and I have confirmed that it is, I believe, the top Google search result. So Back to Spooky School.
I would hope so. That'd make me sad if it wasn't.
It would be weird. It would be a little weird.
That's really exciting. We should mention too, just like show administrative notes, that we probably will miss a traditional show next week. Which means we're gonna miss Boo 2 unless we push it a week.
Well,
But,
we've got Jigsaw the following week, but I think Boo 2 will probably still be around. As will Geostorm, just saying.
But what we're
I hate you
hoping
two.
is
Lord.
we started today kind of planning for a kind of rigged up recording situation out there. So we're hoping that we can maybe my hope is that next week we'll have some kind of shit show hodgepodge of recordings from the weekend that I can throw together into something for people to hear. So, and I think we just put that out on the free feed personally. If people like it, cool. If not, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, Eric, that's your call. If you chop up something you feel is sexy, let's throw it out there.
Why not? It's very exciting. Follow us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Get updates on that, and Snapchat too, at BG Horror. And we're probably gonna be doing some live stuff from there. So if you don't get to make it, I'm sure you'll be seeing a bunch of our mugs on the internet that weekend. So it's exciting.
We will be annoying on social media, is my prediction. But that's how it goes sometimes.
It's been 10 years. We've earned the right to be annoying on social media.
Oh yeah,
That's true.
yeah. CC. Is she? Did she freeze?
Did we lose her?
Are you
We
there?
lost CC.
Is she there? Okay. She was going to tell me about this movie that she saw a trailer for called Keep Watching. Have you seen this, Shars?
I've seen the name on the schedule, but I haven't seen it, and I did not get it in front of this movie.
Yeah, I don't think I did either.
Interesting. Well, my whole talking point just stalled out. Cece?
Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
Tell me about Keep Watching.
So yeah, I got Keep Watching before the feature, and I was mildly interested when I thought that it was the Strangers 2 trailer, but it in fact is not. It kind of looks like a ripoff of The Good Neighbor and Strangers. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. But it has Bella Thorne in it, and she was in The Babysitter, so she must be on and she's in that new Amityville horror movie, so she must be making the spooky movie rounds right now.
Is there something out for Strangers 2? I haven't seen anything. Like, I think I saw a screenshot.
Yeah, Eric, or not Eric. Sophie
You're
and
Eric.
Spencer were talking about it. Yeah, you're Eric. But I haven't seen a trailer yet either, so I'm not sure that it's out. I think that it was just confirmed that it's happening.
Interesting. I love The Strangers. And it's a good
Yes.
time to point out, Schnorrs, that The Strangers made our top 25 of the decade list, I believe.
Affirmative.
Yeah.
Because it is creepy AF.
It's still legitimately one of my favorite features we've ever done on Bloody Good Horror. I don't know why I'm always pimping it, but you can go to the site and search for it's top 25 or top 20 or something.
I think it's top 25.
It's funny because I always like the list and I look at it, I'm like, yeah, it's perfect. And then a bunch of our like youngins like were on the list in Slack and they're like, this is a weird list. I'm like, yeah, get the hell out of here.
Shut your mouth.
Jason X.
That's why we're on the show.
Jason X should be on this list. You shut your mouth.
Did you guys discuss last time Insidious: The Last Key?
Oh, that's the
Oh,
one
I saw
saw.
that too. I'm
Oh,
actually
my
interested.
Can I tell you? Can
I
I?
am. I can't help it, but I think I'm interested.
Can I tell you that I legitimately LOL'd in the theater when I saw Lin Shaye? Because like
I did too, but it still
just-
made me interested.
just the whole fucking Lin Shaye ghost puncher meme at this point is like too much for me. I like we've joked about it so much in the show that when I see her now, my instinct is to just laugh.
Well, I mean, how about when I think she actually says in the trailer, we have to go farther into the further.
Yes.
I was just like,
She
no,
must
no, no.
she must have said deeper, right? But like yes, that is
I
something.
don't
No,
know,
I'm
man.
pretty sure she said farther.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gotta be a joke at this point.
It's funny. It didn't even dawn on me that it was Insidious until the title came up.
so
yeah, I was like, where's this?
I thought it
going?
was just another one of these spin-offs.
But didn't
there's
she die in the last one?
Well, no, because I think this is another prequel. Like, I think wasn't the most recent Insidious a prequel, and then this is like
No.
a sequel to that one.
No. The Insidious was
One
a
of
sequel.
them was a prequel.
Insidious 2 was a sequel. Remember, it was way up its own ass. And they
Yeah, but then there was Insidious 3.
there what?
Yeah, this is the fourth one. Hopefully, the final one.
Insidious 3. What are you talking about? Are you serious?
Yeah, because there was like that one weird dude we were joking about on
Listen,
the show.
all this is fucking proof that there's too many of these goddamn movies and they all have the same plot, and I can't remember
It was
them.
called.
Yeah.
It was in fact it was called Insidious Chapter 3 because the second one was called Insidious Chapter 2.
Holy
But what
shit,
was-
you're right.
What
Starring
was weird about it is it was a prequel, so like it came
Okay.
before Chapter 2.
a prequel set before the haunting of the Lambert family that reveals how gifted psychic Elise Rainier reluctantly agrees to use her. Okay, isn't it the story of Lin Shaye as a kid or something? Isn't that what it was? Because then she
Well,
she
Yeah,
sees
that's just how
herself.
she got to them.
She sees herself in the future past or something.
Yeah, there is an element of her being a kid.
Yeah.
Long story short, don't hurt yourself thinking about this, but
I completely forgot that movie even existed.
I did.
So
Well,
did I.
I wanted to
Holy
mention
shit.
I've been watching Fargo season 2, and the guy who's like one of her like
Yeah.
lackeys is like a pretty main character in the show, and he's friggin' awesome. Like you know, he's like super underutilized in the Insidious movies. He's like the quiet, like big kind of oafy one in Insidious.
Oh, okay. Mhm.
That guy.
So yeah, that guy. He's great. So
I wonder what Carl's doing these days.
somebody mentioned Carl on Slack the other day. Oh, he's in the first episode of Lore, the
Oh.
Amazon version of Lore. So
Beautiful. I watched the first episode of Room 101.
104. I love it.
It was okay. My wife super hated
I
it
mean,
and does not want to see anymore. But I thought it was all right. You know what?
I'm very interested to watch.
It reminded me of like Tales from the Dark Side, like very low stakes, little half an hour anthology thing with a little twist at the end, like nothing too meaty to it. But yeah. I guess I'll keep going. But you know,
I mean, some are great. Some are just okay, and you know, I like that you get a good balance in there. But you know, it's not for everyone.
it's true.
Yeah, no, I thought the trailers for it looked great. I've been meaning to check it out. My wife, similar to Eric, has no interest, like negative interest. So.
I thought she'd be into it, but not so much. Speaking of Mark Duplass, I rewatched Creep last weekend.
Ah, so good.
Uh,
So, did you hear that there's going to be 3 of them? That like it's going to be a trilogy?
no, but I saw the poster for the second one.
Yeah, he's talked about it being a trilogy since the first one came out, I think.
I was
Oh,
like,
I didn't hear that, so it's awesome.
I was pleasantly surprised at how much I liked it on a rewatch. Like, that's a creepy, weird,
Mhm.
uncomfortable movie. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I like the trailer too because I mean they start out the trailer and you figure out pretty quick what it's going to be, but they kind of leave him in the background and out of focus until all of a sudden it hits a point and they bring him into focus and you're like, oh yeah.
It's really interesting because, like, the first time you watch the first one, it's like I mean, the movie's called Creep. You're like pretty certain what's gonna happen, but they kind of play with it. Like, is this guy sinister or just kind of weird? But on the
Yeah.
second rewatch, and you just like know what happens, it's like it's almost creepier because then like there's no moment of relief at anything because you know like what's coming. Just it's a really good movie. I recommend that if you haven't seen it. Anybody else watch anything fun and spooky for Halloween?
I watched The Babysitter and I watched Better Watch Out. Both of those were very good.
I watched the first half of Babysitter on my own, then decided I needed to stop because it's something that Colleen would like. So hopefully we'll get that
Yeah.
watched.
Is the babysitter
It was
new?
really fun.
Is it new?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
on
Netflix.
Netflix.
Huh.
Is
Like
it a
direct-
Netflix
produced
original?
by- yes.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, nice. So
Made by
I
Big G.
I
Mhm.
started watching the Curse of or Cult of Chucky because it was available to like download on Netflix, and I had a flight, and I was like, I'll give it a look. I got through the first like 45 minutes, and I was kind of like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it doesn't get better from there.
Yeah.
Okay. So I
you-
just haven't finished it, but I will download the babysitter.
You
and,
saw the
I
most-
have flights obviously coming up. So.
You saw the most important part, which was the first scene where Andy is smoking weed with the Chucky head on a spike. I kind of feel like that should have just been the whole movie, but you know,
Yeah,
You know,
I
John-
did see that.
John, starring your favorite character from the last movie, Lady in a Wheelchair.
Yeah. Well, it's Brad Dourif's daughter.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, I know. Well,
Yeah.
She's actually really great in it, but like, I had to go. We were talking about the show. I had to go look up on Wikipedia what the hell happened.
dude. Well, they definitely kind of grew her up. I mean, there's like the sex scene right out of the gate.
We didn't even talk about
Yeah.
it. That scene is so random and weird and apropos of nothing in the entire movie.
I kind of enjoyed it because, well, it sets up the joke like a little bit later where they're like eating and it turns out like he's in this crazy house because he like has memory problems or multiple personalities and like he was like somebody else at that point. I don't know, whatever. It's you guys talked about it, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, well, that whole thread actually we missed, but there you go, John. Now we've covered it. All right, guys, it is time. Let us review Happy Death Day.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big breaking TV. From the prime time, bitch. Main feature.
John Schnars,
Yes, Eric.
I missed you last week, buddy.
You know, Eric, I miss you every week.
I miss you when you're
This
not
will
here.
be. This is the real week, though. We're gonna really bring it together.
I get like 2.5 days with you this week. And I don't even know what to do with myself.
I don't know.
It's exciting.
Settle down.
John
I'm
Schnars.
just glad I'm not in that room with the 2 queen beds.
John Schnars, please bring us the word of the day.
Eric, today's word is cryptomnesia.
Whoa.
Cryptomnesia. I don't know how the hell you pronounce it. That's CRYPTOMNESIA. Cryptomnesia occurs when a forgotten memory returns without it being recognized as such by the subject who believes it is something new and original. It is a memory bias whereby a person may falsely recall generating a thought, an idea, a tune, or a joke, not deliberately engaging in plagiarism, but rather experiencing a memory as if it were a new inspiration. So it's sort of like the idea of a forgotten memory returning to you. I don't know. I thought it was a cool little thing. Not super relevant to the film, but it came up while I was doing a little research around deja vu. So yeah, cryptomnesia. Use that one. Impress your friends.
Be honest with
All that
yourself.
research in the last 10 minutes.
Be honest with yourself. Would Joe approve of this word?
I'm gonna say yeah. I think I would have gotten a pass.
Okay. Interesting.
Listen, I could have brought you a word from the Curious George books I was reading to my son before he went to bed. That made me a little late here for the show, but I figured to get something else in here.
Adorable.
Dorms.
Tell me, why did you make me listen to Bill Simmons this week, and how is that relevant to this show?
God, dude, you already started the show music.
I just think
the movie music.
no, I just think the stuff that they discuss is really interesting in regards to this movie.
Yeah, I mean, so I pinged. In fact, I think I pinged the whole Slack channel. We have a podcasting related Slack channel for people to share podcasts. But I called Eric out because our friend Jason Blum, we've been mispronouncing it apparently for years, and I guess a lot of other people do as well, was recently a guest on the Bill Simmons show. I'm a longtime listener of the Bill Simmons podcast. I'm a big sports fan. He used to be the sports guy, but increasingly he's been working in a lot more sort of like cultural figures, actors, directors. So he actually recently interviewed. God, what's his name from the WTF podcast?
Mark Maron?
Maron. Yeah, Maron. So, and it's funny because Simmons actually started podcasting about 5 months before we did. So he was 2007.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, he's an old hand. I mean, he's been at it for a long, long time. So whatever. I love the show. I especially like when he has people on like Jason Blum, but super relevant for us because in a lot of ways.
Thing I learned, it's Blumhouse, not Bloomhouse.
Yeah, well, that's why we've been mispronouncing it. I know.
Yeah.
No, but Jason Blum obviously has essentially defined horror. I would say over the last almost 10 years now, right? Since basically Paranormal Activity 1. And it's a really interesting kind of spin around a lot of the work that Blumhouse has done and his mentality and approach to making film and what that has yielded, which I think on net we all would say has been a pretty high time for the genre. Certainly there's plenty of kind of reductive sequels, but those are the things that help pay for and fund a lot of actually really interesting stuff. And as Eric mentioned, Blumhouse, excuse me.
I'm just gonna say Bloomhouse because Blumhouse sounds dumb.
I mean, listen, it's the man's name.
His name.
Yeah, he can pronounce it however he wants.
And so can I.
But Blumhouse produced this Happy Death Day. Funded it. It was a $4.8 million production. And I think one of the main points that he kind of hits on is that because Simmons really kind of was pushing him on hey, you really seem to have cornered the market on low budget horror. And the point that Jason Blum made, which I thought was super smart, was we haven't necessarily cornered it. That's the thesis that they use to greenlight projects. And so they've done a high volume of them and they've had a lot of success because they're able to greenlight. His whole point was we can greenlight a lot of different stuff at that dollar amount that would never get made any other way.
And specifically unique things or things you look at and go I've never seen anything like that before. Well, low stakes. Let's throw $1 million at it or whatever. And which is something we've been saying on the show here for years, right? You don't need to make $30 million horror movies. You need good scripts.
It's usually worse if they're that
right.
bad.
You need good scripts and $5 million and go do it. I did. I would actually, even if you don't like Bill Simmons, as I don't like him very much, but it was when he wasn't speaking, it was an interesting listen to Blum speak. My favorite part was, so they're producing the new Halloween and he relays this anecdote about how he wanted to go kind of get John Carpenter's blessing and see if he could get him involved, even though Carpenter has nothing to do with the rights. And, it's just this really great story about going to John Carpenter's house and John Carpenter just being fucking grumpy and being who gives a shit? You're not going to give me Final Cut. I don't care. Do whatever you want. And then this kind of conversation he had with him to try to get him to come around and that kind of stuff. So that it was a funny, cause I just love the idea of John Carpenter made his movie 40 years ago or whatever it is. And he just can you remember something you did 10 years ago and how it came, in his mind, it's probably I don't know what happened, man. They asked me to make a movie, I made it, and then it got really big. And now people ask me about it every day and I just want to stop talking about it.
There was another interview with Carpenter that I always loved. They were asking about how he felt with Rob Zombie's remakes of Halloween and stuff like that. And he said, it's weird because I'll be sitting at home and reading the newspaper, and then just all of a sudden, a whole lot of money shows up in my hand.
Also, just
Nice.
just a warning if you're going to listen to the show. At one point, Bill Simmons does start to talk about how much he liked the Bye
The
Bye
gallows.
Man. He loved
Well,
the gallows, and he starts talking about how he liked the Bye Bye Man, and then Jason Blum's like you can hear him just be like, yeah, maybe not, and then
the exact point that he made was, if you had made the Bye Bye Man, it would have been better.
yeah, but
And-
he was just getting out of sounding like an idiot, because when he started talking about it, I could see Jason Blum like making a face at him.
yeah,
That was his like backup, was like kissing his butt about it.
yeah.
Is
No,
that
I mean, go
is that
ahead,
guy
sorry.
the guy that who's always the critic that's always on Rotten Tomatoes, who's got like the direct opposite rating of everybody, all the other professional
No.
critics out there?
No,
That's Armand White. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, John, tell me about Happy Death Day.
Oh God! All right. Happy Death Day. We can just cut to the chase and describe this sort of as like a slasher mashup of Groundhog Day. So essentially, you have the main character, who her name is Tree, or that's what everyone calls her. Her name's really Teresa, I believe. But she sort of wakes up. It's her birthday. She is in the dorm room of an underclassman. It's unclear if they're in the same year of college or if he's younger. And I don't know. I
Schnars.
couldn't really piece that together.
I think what you meant to say was, it's your birthday.
Oh God. Yeah. So in any event,
Cece's shaking her head at me.
Tree wakes up. She is in this dude's room, and essentially she kind of like starts going about her day. She's in a sorority. They have a party that night. She has to go to class, where we learn that she's sleeping with her professor. And in general, especially in that sort of like first pass through the day, we see that she's kind of not a really nice person. I mean, you could be more extreme in your statements there, but she's intentionally very she's a sorority girl, and she is playing to the arc stereotype version of that.
Bye.
But yeah, so she goes through her day. She has a lot of sort of nasty experiences. And then as she is preparing herself to go to this party that evening, she is attacked by essentially a slasher killer, a sort of masked person, all in black. It's funny because the mask is basically like a baby face, but she goes to, I forget, do you guys remember what the name of it is? It Bakerfield or something?
Bayfield.
Bayfield. She goes to Bayfield College or Bayfield University, and they must be the Bayfield Babies, because it's like their school mascot.
Yeah, it's
so
really weird.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are wearing these masks, and you see like the baby mascot around in other places. But so yeah, this guy, this slasher killer masked character kills her, and she smash cut wakes up back in the bed of the same exact room that she had woken up what she thought was the previous day. It turns out it's the same day, and she's living that same day over and over. And essentially, she again is stuck in this Groundhog Day loop, where instead of trying to escape Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, she is trying to solve her own murder. Very much in sort of a detective style. So it's this really interesting kind of different spin on the slasher genre, where every time she's getting killed differently, because every time she's trying to avoid getting killed, and there are times where she thinks she avoids it, and it still ends up coming back to catch her. So yeah.
Cece,
Yes.
what'd you think of this?
I really liked it. I thought that it was very cleverly and entertainingly done. It lent itself to a lot of redundancy, but it never really felt like it got old. Like, it was a good balance of humor and kind of, unexpected turns. I know that we'll probably get to it, or if we're, for those of us who haven't seen it, who are listening, if you think you know the end, it's still a nice little trip to the end. And I really liked the main character. I thought she did an awesome job. She's very funny. I think she carried the movie really well. And I would totally watch the next thing that she's in.
Casey.
Yeah, I can't really say much different than Cece did. This movie was fun. This is not going to be like boot the whole entire horror genre or anything like that, but it's a good time. Doesn't take itself too seriously. It has a lot of fun along the way. The journey's a good time. I was one of the ones that picked out the final results from watching the first trailer, so I was rather proud of myself. At the same time, I had a good time figuring out how they were going to get there because they did throw some twists in there.
You're telling me that you knew who the killer was from the trailer?
I did. I legit sat there.
Shut up.
No, I was. Do you want me to tell Kyle to come in here because I legit said that's the killer, and he goes, "Did you just ruin the movie?" And I was like, "I mean, I'm just guessing." But yes,
you guys could ask Colleen this weekend too, because the first time we saw the trailer, I turned to her and said, "That's it." And when the movie got done, I turned to her and said, "I told you so."
Yeah.
Because I don't get to do that often, because she's way smarter than I am with that stuff. So I made sure to rub it in.
First of all, Kyle can come in if he has a wife beater on. Second of all,
he does.
I call horseshit. John, what did you think of this movie?
Yeah, I mean, I'm generally in the same boat. I thought this was a lot of fun. It is a breezy hour and 30 minutes. It's sort of exactly what you want at this time of year because it's kind of fun and a little like tongue in cheek at times, but it also is pretty serious. I mean, there's a lot of murderation going on. It's at the same time though, it is PG-13. In a lot of ways, this to me is ideal sort of starter horror because it's like kind of spooky or like there's scary elements. People who aren't into horror movies though could watch this and not be, I
came home. Yeah. My wife likes like suspenseful movies, but not necessarily like overly violent or gory or whatever. And I came home and was like, when this comes out on video, I think we should watch it because I think you'll like it.
Yeah, and it is smart. I mean, Casey and Cece hit on it. Like, it's very well written. The dialogue is good. The characters are all. So the main character is great. She really is in every single sequence.
Yeah.
And she's really, really strong. But even all the sort of side characters, the other sorority girls, as detestable as some of the characters are, I thought the acting was all really strong. And then there's sort of like the one main guy who's so disarmingly just earnest, nice guy.
Yeah.
He's almost like too nice in some regard. But
I kept thinking, I was like, wait, where is this going? But no, he was just a nice dude.
I actually,
it's
like
his
really
dirt
wants
stash.
to be nice to her.
I'm gonna
it was his
like
dirt
a real
stash.
piece of work.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
that's
disagree. I'm
awesome.
gonna disagree with you, Schnars. I thought he was delightful. I wanted to look it up because literally all I could think in the movie was I was convinced that he was Jason London's son because he looks just like
He does
him.
look like him.
What?
He looks exactly like, oh, that's his son. But this kid was born in 1994 in Mississippi. And
Oh my god! What?
Jason London is not like old enough to be his dad. I don't think. I guess
Yeah, he is.
Jason London's like old as
Technically
fuck.
he
Are you
is,
kidding
but-
me?
Well, Jason London was born in 1972, and you're telling me that guy was born in 1994?
That math makes sense to me. I don't know.
I mean,
Well,
all
dude,
right.
I was born in 1974 and I was 20 in 1994. So
Jason,
Yeah,
listen,
I mean,
Jason London was
it's-
in Dazed and Confused, Schnars, and that took place in 1976. So I think the math worked out.
and he had drug problems, so he very well could have.
Yeah.
kids.
Maybe he doesn't know who his dad is. I'm just saying. Anyway, yeah, I thought he was delightful. I thought the lead actress was delightful. Really, really great casting with these young actors here. I wasn't really sure what to expect with this. The trailers definitely give off the kind of not really goofy but just fun vibe of it, but I wasn't sure how far that was going to go. I would almost call this like a black comedy or something. There's definitely, like as Snar said, a lot of murderation. It's a nice word of the day. But like it's a really funny movie and it's really clever and the pacing is just like lightning quick. It's really great. You know, they use every day as she repeats events, they kind of use each day to explore other little parts of her day and little areas and things that she does. And, you know, once she kind of figures out what's going on, which thankfully happens pretty fast, then it's like trial and error, right? And that stuff's a lot of fun. That's like a ton of fun. There's just great, like almost right after she figures out what's going on, there's a great montage of just rapid fire, her trying different things. Like she's stalking this one woman or she's tries to run interference on this other thing. And then, but they just, they rapid fire she gets killed really fast. It's like you see the, because some of the days take 20 minutes or a half an hour for you to watch. Some of the days take 10, 20 seconds or something. In this,
well, yeah, it was very predictable that there was going to be one of the montages of her just getting killed a bunch of times.
But it was great at the point that the montage kicked in. It's like probably at the end of the first act. I was like, oh, okay, I get what this movie's doing, and I'm like way in on it because at the point the montage hits is when the tone really sets in. It's like over the top, it's goofy. They do a couple of these really great visual things where like she gets killed by a bat to the head, and then you see her head kind of slow motion fall down, and then it turns into her pillow. And then every time she wakes up, it's like she's hurting in wherever she just got murdered from. I don't know, like that. There's just so many. They executed really well on all these little chances to be clever. Like even the little running gags, like she wakes up in the kid's room. She was drunk at a party, and as she's leaving the door every day, she runs into like his Asian roommate who's making some really off-color joke about the hot girl that he took home. And then eventually she starts either like saying it for him or like running out before he even makes it there. And it's like, I was actually really impressed by the number of ways they found to make that same exact scenario funny again.
Yeah.
And that's what's great. Like it's a really clever script, and that was why I enjoyed it.
That's the strong point of this whole movie, is because my fear going into this is that we obviously knew it was going to be like Groundhog Day. I was afraid it's going to get repetitive, it's going to get boring, and it's going to feel stale and old, and never did. They repeated the same day over and over, but they found ways to make it different enough each time that they passed through it that it was new every time, and they were able to do callbacks to certain scenes, like with the pervy roommate and stuff like that, to where they could get you back on focus to say, I'm back in the same day, and then you get back into it again. And they really balanced that really well.
There's only
I would say the roommate is the Ned Ryerson of Happy Death Day. Correct? Can we?
Oh, I got you. It's funny. The only scene I like dreaded seeing over and again was like because they show the whole scene a couple times where she's walking into her dorm, says hi to the girl, and then she's walking up the stairs, and the girl's like, you sneaky bitch, and then they sit there and talk, and then she talks to the roommate. Like, I don't know, that stuff I saw maybe one too many times, but then at that point they start adding in other scenes that you haven't even seen yet, because
like she said, like she like beats the roommate or the like house sister to saying something, so the conversation elongates and like it changes. So it was very sly,
because she starts mixing up her routine. She starts like mixing up her routine at that point too. So then one day she just tries to stay in her room the whole time, and something still happens to her.
I love the sorority meeting, the payoff on whatever day 15.
That was good.
Is pretty good. And that's what's great about listen, at this point we've seen this. I mean, as you guys said, we've seen this type of film now a bunch. Like, this is not like a super duper new idea, but it was very smartly written, right? Like, it was very clever. And so even to Cece's point, like the way they played with some of the conversations and stretched them out or had them cut short, some of that's just editing, but some of it's actually in the writing as well. It was great. I mean, it's very punchy.
Did it bother anybody? Because I know I've seen this talked about like online. Did the PG-13 rating bother anybody? They do say they do see the F word in this movie, which I was surprised by. They got their one.
I didn't even realize that it was PG-13.
Yeah, it is actually fairly violent. I mean, there's a lack of gore. I guess I could see an alternate universe where like there's a really gory version of this, but it didn't.
It just didn't need it.
Yeah, it didn't.
I honestly think the gore would have slowed it down, and it would have thrown off that balance they had.
It didn't feel necessary to me.
Yeah,
there was a bong related murder that I'm surprised with, but I guess it's legal now in California. You can sneak that right by the censors these days.
Because it felt like. I don't know. It's dark in places, but it feels kind of lighthearted in an interesting way. And there's actually like I was actually really impressed too that the main character, who starts out as like this pretty unlikable kind of snooty sorority type character.
Dude, super unlikable. Like super duper unlikable.
But like I actually was impressed. She has a really interesting arc. Like she has I thought that they gave her character interesting things that develop throughout the movie, and by the end of it you really like her, and I think you really like the dude, and them together is like kind of adorable. I just thought like that added character stuff was kind of a breath of fresh air because you don't always see that in these types of movies.
Well, there's no real info dumps either.
Yeah, there wasn't. Which, I mean, like, I know, and Casey, you kind of brought it up in email, like, yeah, if you really start trying to pick it apart, there's a few, you know, little plot holes or questions that could linger. But, you know, I think that it's so entertaining that I don't even care. I enjoyed it, and I'm like, eh.
At the point that I'm buying that she's reliving the same day over and over, I'm not really worried about much else. Like, because the biggest thing is once you kind of find out the deal with the killer, and I don't think we'll spoil it, but like you really start to break down all of the places the killer was and all the scenarios. It's like, how did that happen? But it's kind of but it's so fun and just kind of frivolous feeling that I don't know, it didn't really worry me that much.
It would be like picking apart Groundhog Day. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
What's the point? Like, you to Eric's point, you're accepting a premise that someone is reliving the same day over and over again, and if you have already sort of accepted that and you're enjoying that premise, like certainly there are questions. I mean, frankly, like because apparently I'm a dense idiot, I didn't see the most obvious killer reveal, like the rest of the super team there. But no, even like, I don't know, I've teased it apart a little bit. Like none of it becomes like super implausible. I don't know. I mean, we don't need to get into it, but it's certainly it passes the sniff test. Is my sort of like
as soon as the show's over, I'm going to watch that trailer again.
There's one part in this movie that ties into the storyline that, from talking to Colleen after we went and saw the movie, I completely missed it in the movie. It's a little spoilery to talk to, but that was like the only time. At the same time that I missed that, it's more my fault than the movie's fault, but it also points to how well that they doled out all the backstory in this movie without weighing you down with it and without hitting you over the head with it. And so then it kind of leads into the whole notion of the part that I missed and whatnot, and kind of some of the stuff that's going on leads you into that you're buying into that she's reliving this day over and over, and ultimately there's a goal as to why. You find out there's kind of a reason why she's reliving this over and over as far as her character is concerned, and it's a pretty good feel good type of motive or notion there, but they don't beat you over the head with it. A lot of these movies, they're like, hey, this is what we're doing, but they don't do that here. They assume that we're smart enough to figure that out on our own. They put it in there really subtly, and it's nice because she's not the same person by the end of the movie that she was at the beginning.
Right.
So it's interesting. I'm just looking now. This is like a really strange script. So there's only one credited writer, and it's a guy who has one other film credit that was released in theaters, which was Man of the House. Can anyone name the star of Man of the House?
Isn't that Martin? No.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh yeah, man.
But no, so he made it, like his whole career was essentially writing X-Men, both the comics and then a lot of the underlying stuff for the original '90s television show. So, talk about dudes. And this, my guess is this script has kind of been floating around for a while. I'd be really curious to know sort of when it landed with Blumhouse, because it kind of, just looking at this guy's credits, it looks like the kind of thing that must have been floating around a little bit.
And it was something I hadn't thought about listening to that interview, but that was the impression I got, that like these guys aren't these guys are kind of in the business of like getting pitched movies. Like, it's not necessarily that they're coming up with the things, although I'm sure he does come up with things, but it sounds like it's a lot of like shopping around, trying to find the right scripts that fit into this mold that they have.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fun little ditty.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, would you recommend this movie, John?
Absolutely.
Casey?
Absolutely.
Cece?
Absolutely.
That was weird. All right, guys. That's it. Me too. 4 thumbs up from the BGH crew. Let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
We're going back.
The Warriors are 27 miles from safety.
It's the only choice we got.
They're in a war zone called New York City. Every gang wants to get them. Every cop wants to bust them. They have one way out. They have one chance. They have one night. The Warriors, rated R.
Starts today at the Brew in Westwood, Man's Hollywood, and specially selected theaters and drive-ins.
Hey guys, this is Danielle Harris. You might know me from some of the Halloween movies, and you're listening to Bloody Good Horror.
Send your emails to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or hit us up on Twitter at BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH. And don't forget to pick up back episodes of the show at podcast.bloodygoodhorror.com.
And we are back. Warriors. It's a good movie.
Strong.
It's a solid video game too.
Yeah. I never played it, but I watched Mark play through it, I feel like, one summer. It's good times. We got one email from Cody. This is Cody number 2, I believe, but I'm not positive. Was browsing some 80s horror monster movies looking for things similar to Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Would like your quick thoughts on some of these suggestions, or more. Number 1, Street Trash.
Yeah, it's fun if you like gory stuff.
Terror Vision. So,
I remember that one, but I don't remember details.
I watched a trailer for this before the show. It is about a 1980s family who buys, like, you know how in the 80s you could get like a satellite dish and then you could just get all these weird signals from all over the place? Well, they get a signal from space and a giant alien like blob monster beams down to their house and they try to make it their pet, but it like eats and kills people. And then it looks like some alien like shows up at the end. Something. But that looks crazy and I would recommend that because it looks cool. The next one is The Stuff.
That movie is awesome. I love that movie.
Were you just watching that, Cece?
No, Sophie was just talking about it.
Oh, right. The Deadly Spawn, which I'm unfamiliar with.
That's another one I know I've seen. I don't remember details, though.
That trailer I was not feeling so much. Night of the Creeps, classic.
Yeah.
Tom Atkins. You seen Night of the Creeps, Schnars?
Yes, that one I have seen.
And finally on his list, and I think it goes without saying, this is the one I recommend, Chud.
Oh, yeah.
That's, come on.
Cannibalistic, humanoid, underground dwellers.
We will be disappointed in you if you do not watch Chud.
Yeah. Although some of our new classers have watched Chud and didn't like it, and then they got fired. They're no longer with us. So.
They're fired from their volunteer positions.
Listen, we have standards. info@bloodygoodhorror.com. That was from Cody. Thank you for that, Cody. Schnars, what's on the Twitter?
The Twitters. All right, so let's start with some BGH classics. We got a couple here. One comes from Library of Congress. So this is a two-parter. I'm going to read it as one. So this is myself, very quotable as always, describing the quote jokes the killer says in episode 137, Soul to Take, My Soul to Take. It sounded like they just found a guy on the street and said, say the sickest thing you can think of, and we are going to dub it over this serial killer. I legit remember, like, I actually might go back and listen to that episode because I remember it being among our finest in terms of just pure, probably zaniness. And
there is
crazy.
Still a part of me that wants to pick a few select movies and like revisit in full shows like old movies we've done.
Yeah, no, we could. It's that would be on the top of my list for sure. And the second one comes from Goreleaf. That's S. Hunnif. He says, This is Jason from episode. So Jason, only been on a couple episodes, already making it into BGH Classics. Episode 427. I don't know, that baby snatch is pretty enticing.
What show is this?
Listen, I don't know. It's episode 427. I don't know what he's referencing.
Okay.
That is taken out of context, I want to remind everyone.
Clearly.
Yes, I know, but geez.
Yeah. Listen, Jason, check your phrasing next time, my friend.
Phrasing.
Yeah. So that's where we're at. Let's dig into some Ask BGHs. And we actually have a lot of them. All right. I believe I'm going to start here. Paul somebody. Oh, he says, there was just something awkward about this week's show. Maybe Joe's micro-gag-orama? I'm not sure what that is referencing. I didn't listen to last week's show, but...
Joe almost choked to death on us doing his beer report.
I don't remember that.
You don't?
I'm gonna be honest.
All right, here we go. Tam Hunks. That's at Maniac Cop 3. He says, I caught 2 UK horrors this weekend, Double Date and The Ritual. Both were very good. Hope you can catch them at some point. Will you?
I totally want to see The Ritual.
Yeah.
Surprise!
I don't know. Yeah, but I don't know about the other one.
We've talked about The Ritual a couple times.
I think that,
is The Ritual about,
I think that it'll be a good movie. I think that the book just got a little sluggish there in the middle.
It's the awful book that I read for the BGH book club one time.
Is this the book that put me off the book club forever?
Yes,
Oh.
that is the one.
I think
and also reading for a little while.
I think I threw it out. And actually, you're not lying. It did put me off reading for like 3 years.
Eric was like, tried reading that one book Cece asked me to read, and I'm done now.
Speaking of,
I will have you know, I didn't know it was that way before I recommended it, so I can recommend a good one.
I have finally made it to the last chapter of Storm of Swords.
Oh, nice.
That book is so long. But yeah, so I'm excited. I have one more chapter to go, be done within a day or two, and then I'm going to try to do some Stephen King, I think a little Night Shift for spooky time.
Nice.
And then probably just go right back into Game of Thrones while I have some momentum. I'm excited about Lady Stoneheart because I am not familiar with what happens there, and I assume that's what is in the 4th book. So.
Spoiler alert. Jesus.
Actually, wait. So you're about to start reading Feast of Crows?
Yes. Is it not till the next one?
I mean, most people say it's pretty boring and that you can skip it and just go on to the 5th
Hold
one.
on. If you enjoy the world building, it's worth reading.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, but it's a whole new world. Like, you basically leave Westeros and you go into... I mean, you build a whole other part of that world.
A part of that world? Yeah.
I'm on a mission.
I mean, I will only say that it is coming from the diehard Game of Thrones fan, my brother, who never reads anything and was like, I mean, would wholly recommend all of those books except for number 4.
I'm on a mission, so I'm just going in whole hog, and I'm just
do it. I mean, you've got momentum. Go.
Well, what I was going to say is, like, we're never getting another book, so just enjoy the 5 that you got. Like, just don't take them and go.
Don't you think if he dies that he's like has people that he wants to finish it for him?
So
I think so.
So here's my theory, because I don't think we've talked about this on the show. The most recent season of the show was bad. I would go so far as to say quite bad.
I thought it had one like 90% amazing episode, and the rest was kind of like a fart.
It's the thing that's upsetting. Like I don't even want to go too deep into this rabbit hole, but it's I now have a theory that he is allowing them to just continue to make a bad show so that he can triumphantly return and reestablish his world as the canon, and like people will like flock to his books because they will be like, holy shit. Like,
so you think he's saving it up, getting out of the way of the show, letting them just finish their shit up, and then he's gonna drop it all?
Yeah, because well, I don't know if he's going to drop it all because I actually don't know that he's written enough.
At
but
least the next one.
Yeah, the risk, the game of chicken that he is playing is that he's not
Is that he'll
what
be
I would call a
alive?
healthy looking gentleman. And so I'll be very sad if we don't get another book, but I just don't see it. I mean, the other argument against him writing another book is like he's got all of the money now. Like all of the
I mean,
money.
it's what's really interesting is that like in my journey through the books, the farther I get into it, the farther the show has diverged from what I'm reading. And so now I can totally see how like it's a bummer that you're not seeing this particular world kind of brought to life.
Right.
Or that you may never see that version of events, like how it ends. But
Yeah.
I have to think if he dies that there's an approved contingency plan in place to get those things out the door.
Well, the
Yeah.
publisher, yeah, the publisher will absolutely find a ghostwriter or like an approved he has like a bunch of apprentices. I've actually read the folks who made there was a show on Sci-Fi. It's a sci-fi it's a science fiction show on Sci-Fi. God, what's it called? It's about like a war between Mars, Earth, and
The Expanse.
The Expanse. Yeah, the guys who wrote that book, at least one of them was like an understudy basically of Martin. So like there's a bunch of people out there.
As long as as long as they're good at describing meals in excruciating detail, I'm in.
Recently there was a gentleman, author named Robert Jordan, who wrote the Wheel of Time series, which was like 12, 15 books long, something like that. And he died before the last book got out. And they actually had his notes and stuff that he had left behind on where he was working on for the last book. And they actually brought in another fairly big name fantasy writer to come in and finish off the series for him. So I would see something like that with Martin, I'm sure.
So yeah. Anyway,
So we did not answer Mr. Honk's question at any level. But yes, we want to see the ritual. I am not familiar with Double Date, but we will watch the trailer, and I've added them both to our list. We've got a ton of open weeks coming up for the end of the year, so we're definitely going to want to try and get to some of these international releases. If people have recommendations, like definitely throw them our way, because we'd love to see some of these newer things for sure.
Hey, real quick before you go on, though, because we were talking about books and Eric mentioned Stephen King. I was digging in the other day. I talked about this on a couple episodes back, particular episode, but I was digging through my bookshelves and I found this book, which you can see is well worn, fairly beat up and everything. But this is, I told the story on the episode, but this is the actual copy of It that I stole from my middle school teacher's library. This
That's
is the first
amazing.
copy I read in like 85.
You had to rip the cover off so that they couldn't prove that it was like from Mrs. Smith's class, if ever you found with it.
That's been a lot of moves since then, so I imagine that's just general wear and tear. I wasn't that crafty as a junior high kid, so
scofflaw.
All right. Let's see. Where are we? Okay. The next one comes from October. That is a seasonal name, I would guess. Girls Heart Geeks at Girls Heart Geeks. Why does Eric ignore my emails now? I was even such a strong supporter of EricCast and his Dawson's Creek love. And then a crying emoji.
What was the email? Who's it from?
There's a follow up to that tweet.
Hold on.
All right.
Who's it from? What's the name again?
From October.
He follows up a little bit later today because I happened to see this live when it was popping up on there, but he comes back later and he says, I take it back. Eric answered my emails. I'm a bad person. To make it up to him, my question, why is Eric the best?
Thank you. Just made me feel bad about myself. Now I feel better.
There you go.
Vindicated. Right. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
That was a real...
Yeah, Casey, I did see it only after I scrolled up. We got a lot of questions.
That was a real roller coaster of emotions there, Schnars.
No, I know. I'm going to keep it rolling. Our own Crummy Luke Crumb, who we will meet in the living flesh this weekend. Box office implications aside, do you think the PG-13 rating helps or harms its overall quality? And I suspect he's talking about, the film.
I don't think that in this case it affected it. It is interesting.
Yeah, I don't. Sometimes I do, but definitely not this one.
Yeah, it is interesting. It made me think of a movie like Prom Night or something, because Prom Night's kind of similarly about like teenagers and blah blah blah, but I think it's just such a clever script that it outweighs that stuff. Like prom night was a bad script, badly acted on top of being kind of toothless.
Yeah.
I think Casey made a point, and I think he's totally right, that if you made it too gory, like it could actually like drag down a lot of the pacing if there's like too much focus on the kills and things like that. So yeah, I was fine with it.
It's funny because this just popped in my head, but it's a long analogy, but it's kind of like cartoons like SpongeBob, things like that. These movies are made for these PG-13 movies are made for a specific crowd, specific audience, not necessarily us. But in this case, it kind of feels like they made a movie for that specific crowd, knowing that people like us, the older crowd's going to go to it. And so they're going to throw in some stuff that we're going to appreciate, like with the SpongeBob cartoon, knowing that they're making it for the kids, but they're going to throw jokes in there for the parents to keep them entertained too. Kind of fits in there.
I buy that. I like that. Barry Elmstrand, old friend Barry, at Schlocky_Grotto. Other than most of the crew using it to catch up on some sleep, what would you do while stuck in a fixed time loop?
Oh, man. Just tell people exactly what I think of them. I have to have daydreams about like, this is going to sound crazy. I have daydreams about like say I'm sitting in a meeting and I'm just bored and I think to myself like, what if I just yelled out a curse word right now? Or what if I just like yelled something really offensive for no particular, like I just have dreams of like breaking cultural norms just for the sake of it.
Kind of like when she burps and farts on her date.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I feel like you're like on the couch right now, man, and kind of like really letting us inside.
Yeah, sometimes I just want to throw off the shackles of civilized society, you know, Schnars?
So here's the thing. Here's what I would say, actually. It's actually super risky, right? Because if you don't know when the fixed time loop is going to end,
right.
So what I would do, this is my plan. I am trying to figure out how to make the most possible money by the end of the day. And you kind of make like a video game out of it, right? Like, so you're just trying to like maximize your output in one single day.
You would be worried about money when you're repeating days.
No, I'm just saying, like, what else can you do, right? Because if you go around killing people, your luck is you like wake up and then it's like the next day and you're like, oh, okay, I didn't commit those murders. What are you talking about?
I'll tell you one thing. I would stop worrying about calories.
I mean, well,
I can see John's point, but I would be the type, though, it'd be much like work where I'd be real gung-ho about that idea for like the first 4 days. And then by the time Thursday rolls around, I'm going to wake up and be like, fuck it. Yeah. I'm bored. I'm going naked today.
I might like try meth if there's not going to be any consequences.
Yeah.
I might try meth.
I could try acid.
I hope that goes on a BGH classic.
Oh, Lord. All right, hold on. This is funny. I should have read ahead, guys. I'm learning all kinds of things. I should have read ahead here. The next two, I'm going to read them back to back because they are related to that exact same tweet. We got a lot of tweets apparently in this vein. If you were reliving the same day over and over, this comes from Kim. That's at Seattle Screams. If you were reliving the same day over and over, what would you do? Also, who would be the friend that was probably killing you?
Joe.
My husband.
Your husband.
I was going to say it'd be my wife, Colleen, because it'd be like a loop of me snoring in the same way every night.
Yeah.
Yes, knowing it would be like the worst day of I'd have the worst attitude, and he'd just be like, "This is it. This is the day it ends."
All right, let me ask the next one. So this is J. Alfred Moonrock at Blunter Gatherer. Oh, I like that. If you were stuck in a Groundhog Day loop, what karmic lesson would you assume you needed to learn to escape?
I mean, the general lesson of this movie, right, is about being a better person. I think that's probably a lesson we could all learn from.
Yeah.
Mine would probably be personal hygiene.
Wow.
The only thing you have to do, Casey, is
can't wait to see you in person, Casey.
Just take a shower. That's all you have to do.
I'm glad you're in a different house.
All right. The next one comes to us from Monica at Mi Corazon, Mi Amor. She says, does anyone else get Brahms creeps when they see Jared Kushner?
Yeah.
And she actually grabbed a picture of Brahms and a picture of Jared Kushner, and it's spooky. It's good.
Yeah, it's pretty
good.
Did you guys see this? Should I send it through?
Yes,
yes,
please.
Put it in the chat.
I'll put it in the video. It's pretty dead on though.
I mean, Yeah, it's great.
I love the fact that she's got one reply from that tweet that she sent to us from another listener, Anatomy of a Scream, who just says, "Dude."
All
Oh
right.
my
The next
God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wasn't there one from Sophie asking like what song would be playing?
Yeah. All right. Hold
coming up.
on.
No, I thought you said you were done. I'm sorry. I was
No.
just ready for that one.
We have
Lord.
several. We have several more. We already.
I will keep my
We Rob. That's at _ Dr. XP. He says, "Have you guys / gals seen Never Hike Alone yet? If so, what did you think?"
I haven't.
I haven't heard of it.
Me neither, and it is going on the list.
These pictures are making me uncomfortable.
Rob, we'll get back to you now on Never Hike Alone. Okay, at Philly's Femme, our own Sophie Day asks,
your attitude, okay?
Happy Death Day had Into Club, and Groundhog Day had I Got You, Babe. What song would you most love / hate as your repeat alarm?
Well, we should mention that song isn't actually in the movie. It's some other weird bootleg ringtone that's like, "It's your birthday, pick up your phone."
Yeah, which, hold on, for someone, this is something we didn't discuss. For someone who is literally trying to hide the fact that it's her birthday, why would you have that ringtone?
It's not her.
Her roommate said it.
The roommate said it as like she because in one of the days, or maybe it must have been the first day. She's like,
Yeah, it
"Oh,
was first day.
Yeah.
When she finds out she got her ringtone off of her, when she finds out she got her birthday from her license, she looks at her roommate and is like, "Oh, I assumed the ringer was you," and then she's like, "Cute."
Yeah.
Oh God, I missed that, and I was like, that was like one of those things the whole movie where I was like, this makes no goddamn sense, but whatever. Okay. So does anyone have any entries they want to throw out?
Yes, because Reeling in the Years by Steely Dan legitimately drives me insane. Like, it makes me very angry to hear that song, and I legitimately have to turn it off when it comes on.
Oh, so it's a song that makes you angry.
Yeah, it's like if someone put that on my phone as my ringtone and it happened every day, like it.
All right, I'm going to go with the Eagles' Take It Easy. Not necessarily because I hate it, although like I don't really like it, but like it would be the kind of thing that like on day 3 I would probably just commit suicide and call it a day.
Well, like most people, the first time I got a cell phone, I made AC/DC's Back in Black my ringtone. Which gets really annoying when you hear it over and over, and also like it is really unsettling at 2 a.m.
I don't know. I'm the type that like sets a playlist and I listen to the same playlist of driving to work every morning. So right now it would be some kind of Avett Brothers song probably, because that's kind of every day for me anyways.
All right. That's not so bad.
I had a podcast to recommend. It is called Dirty John.
Yes.
It's a true crime thing that the LA Times has put together.
Yeah, I was asking about it on site. First of all, what is this in reference to?
It's at some point. So Dirty John is about this guy who is kind of a swindler who's like spent his life like he's just a nasty dude, and he's swindled a bunch of women, and he's like one of those kind of guys. But he's like that was his nickname in college. Like that, it comes up in the 3rd episode or something like that. That was his nickname. And it's like they're super cribbing serial. Like literally, I guarantee you they took the music and were like, make this music but different, because it sounds like literally all the little cues are the same. But it's pretty well produced, and the story is actually really compelling. I enjoy it.
The story is crazy.
Yeah.
I still don't understand what you're referencing or what question you're answering.
I don't know. We've just been thinking. Casey was talking about what he's been listening to lately, and I had meant to bring that up today.
Okay, very good. I actually did ask about it in the podcast Slack channel, and the response I got was like kind of lukewarm. But I'll listen. I'm definitely down to give it a listen.
It's good. I was into it.
It's the #1 on iTunes podcast.
Yeah, you know what it is. The host is not the greatest, like the voiceover dude they used, but the thing is like the story they're telling is fucking crazy, and so it's like
it's just like a version of Dateline. So like you just have to kind of get into his like cadence, and then it's fine.
He doesn't.
It's the LA Times, right? Like it's the actual newspaper.
It's like they're using it to like promote the paper. One thing that drives me nuts, like, and I don't understand why you wouldn't do this, but he didn't mic himself up when he was doing any of his interviews. So anytime you need to hear his question, it's like he's got to crank it way up, and it's like all room noise, and it's like, dude, why? You're in the LA Times. You should, like, come on, bro. Like, I can't. There's a lot of like amateur-ish true crime shows, and I can't listen to them. Like, they're just because the production is not there, and it bothers me.
All right, we'll keep this rolling.
All right.
Fritz Grimm, at Viva Latoni says, if you were all in a cabin in the woods scenario, which archetype would each of you be? I feel like we had to have gotten this question before.
I'm sure.
I don't even remember all of the exact archetypes.
Schnars
anymore.
is the virgin. No, I don't remember.
On.
It's not even the virgin.
At
it's
least
like,
you survive.
All right,
I don't
I'll
know.
take it.
I think he's got the highest number of kids out of all of us so far.
I think we all decided we wanted to be Sigourney Weaver and kind of left it at that.
Makes sense.
In every timeline, that's my
I'm
answer.
going for Shaggy the Stoner.
Yeah.
All right, Skylar Willett at Skizbot. He says, okay, I can only suspend my disbelief so far. How has she never even heard of Bill Murray?
Yeah, they do.
Because she was born in 1994.
Oh yeah, dude. Of
5.
course. Why would she have heard of Bill Murray? Like, they do have a little nice mention of little reference to Groundhog Day. He's like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's
this is
literally
like
the
Groundhog
very
Day.
end of the movie.
Yeah, and she's like, what's Groundhog Day?
Yeah. It was funny, yeah, because he's like, you know what this situation reminds me of? It was well done. Good call out
And
there.
nice, like really nice that they like acknowledged it.
Oh yeah, you kind of have to, right? Especially to pretend that this like famous movie doesn't exist in that universe is weird. Tony Wilson at Mad Science Pro asks, if Bayfield University has a weird baby mascot, what are some of the other wacky teams in their conference? Good question.
Yeah, that was weird, but it made for a really funny / scary mask. So
great.
I don't know. I felt kind of offended. I think that's what I look like when I shave.
Are they just called the Bayfield Babies, or are they like the Battling Babies, or do they have?
I was like so curious. I was looking at the other merchandise that I saw to try to see it, and like I could never make out the full words.
But just to be clear, that mask is going to be a big seller for Halloween this year, right? Like,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that'll be a big one next year.
Did you see the guy who wrote a giant sign on his garage door in blood, and it said like "Keep America Great, Purge Night 2018" or whatever, or like
what?
Like he was,
No.
but basically they interviewed him. Like people were freaking out and they thought it was racial and everything. He's like, no, he's like, I just really like the Purge. We're like, I actually could see how that might happen. I don't know how you would like not have the thought that might be something your neighbors frown upon, but.
Did you see somebody on Slack posted a picture? It might have been Cody. That was of it was like a lawn decoration from Halloween, and it was like a bride and groom in front of like a wedding arch or whatever, and it just there was a sign in front of it that said "Worst Nightmare" or something like that. I thought it was pretty good. To
be fair, the language on this is maybe not great. It says "Make America Great Again, Purge and Purify." Maybe bad timing on that one.
Well, I think don't they? I don't know.
First of all, they don't say "Make America Great Again," and the "Purify" is like with everything going on. It's like
yeah, it's a little too.
No, all right, you're right. It's
that's not a great look.
He was definitely in Charlottesville. All right, I get it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's weird. All right, that's actually all we got. I thought we had one more, but I was wrong.
Who are we thanking, John? Who's helping us put together Bloody Good Horror, the 10-year celebration?
Well, Jeff Harkins, the designer who put together some really killer posters, which will be on sale, and as part of giveaways, our T-shirts. Our friends at WMSE in Milwaukee, who will be on site and also promoting the event on the station this week. And the great folks at Great Lakes Distillery. I also forgot earlier, Renegade Brewing donating, I believe, 2 quarter kegs So that will be available for attendees as part of their ticket. Really exciting. They're friends of the show, longtime friends of Joe, and they are donating very generously to support 10 years of Bloody Good Horror.
It's very exciting. And the radio station?
WMSC.
Nice. And how do people can Google Back to Spooky School and it should show up. They can get more info at bloodygoodhorror.com. The next time we see each other, Schnars, it will be in real life seas.
So
I hope
real.
you wear a V-neck.
Too real. I'll pack.
I
Just
also
for
hope you wear a
Condo.
V-neck.
Just for
Schnars.
Eric. Do
Yeah.
it.
That's going to do it, guys. Stay tuned to Bloody Good Horror social media for more dispatches from the 10-year event. And we will be back next week, hopefully with some kind of show before Halloween. So that's going to do it for Happy Death Day. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll talk to you soon.
Peace.
See ya.
Bye-bye.